Hey there, you found us. Welcome to You're Doing Good. I'm B.J. Krintzman, and I gave up my law practice, so I used to say I'm an attorney. I'm an arbitrator and a mediator, and now I am a self-styled philanthropy influencer. Okay, you got that? And what we do is we highlight organizations that are doing good and people who are doing good. And tonight I'm just so thrilled with our guests because this organization is doing great good. So join me in welcoming. First we have Brenda Noel. Hi, Brenda, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And we also have Steve Romano.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
And they are here tonight, and they are representing Pathway to Possible. And I'll be honest with you, I did not know about Pathway to Possible until I actually, I don't remember how it came to my attention. I was sort of looking around for charitable organizations and nonprofits in Newton, and somehow you came to my attention. There could be a different reason, but I don't remember. Anyway, so first, we're going to talk about Brenda a little bit.
Sure.
Because in addition to being the executive director of Pathway to Possible, she's also been a city, still a city, no, you said you're no longer, former city councilor. And that gives me the opportunity to say, hi, Josh, in case you're watching, because my son is a city councilor. So anyway,
Excellent.
Brenda, tell us a little bit about yourself. You live in Newton.
I live in Newton. We moved here in 2010. I'm a social worker by training. I've had a varied career. You know, right out of school, I worked at the Boston Area Rape Crisis Center. Then I worked in the Attorney General's office. I had twins. And then I was a nonprofit consulting, raising money for nonprofits. And that's how I got connected to Pathway to Possible. At the time, it had a different organization, a different name, pardon me. It was called Newton Wellesley Weston Committee for Community Living. Some folks out there may have heard of it because we've been around for 53 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's a long time. So in 2018, we did a rebrand. I became the executive director in 2018. It was 7 years ago. And I didn't build my career in disability services, but I love it. I absolutely love it.
Excellent. And you became associated with the you learned about the organization through your prior work.
As a consultant,
As
yes.
a consultant, and then it drew you, and then they grabbed you.
And
I
they
get
grabbed
it.
me.
They
And they
grabbed you.
grabbed me.
They said, this is who we want as our
Yes.
ED.
Yes.
Right? Got it. And Steve Romano, tell Newton who you are.
I live in Newton Corner, and I'm a marketing communications consultant, and I've been one of the longest volunteers with Pathway to Possible. I actually started when they were that other organization, NWW, which is the nickname for the organization. And I had been volunteering with Project Literacy, helping adults learn to read. And when that ended, I was looking for another opportunity to sort of help give back. And I saw an ad. At the time it was in a newspaper, because that's how old I am. We looked at ads in newspapers. And they were looking for volunteers for the equivalent of a Best Buddy type program at the time. And so I volunteered. And since then, I've been basically a buddy to the same person for, we think, 30 years. We're not sure of the exact count of years, but it's a long time.
I want to say the oxymoronic, which is you're like a professional volunteer, it seems. You know, I mean, you're not that you get paid, but that it's consistent in your life. You want to be volunteering and helping.
Well, I guess the answer to that is yes, I am a volunteer, but you know, it doesn't take much time or effort to be kind to people. And you know, so people should do that. Everybody should. It really is not a major commitment on anybody's part to do what I'm doing with an organization like Brenda's organization, which is a great organization. They're doing wonderful things, and I'm happy to be part of it.
They're doing wonderful things. So let's get into Pathway to Possible, which why don't you define, give us the elevator.
The elevator pitch?
Yeah.
So we are a nonprofit based in Newton. Actually, our administrative offices are right in Newton Center. You might have seen our sign. And we have 5 houses in Newton and 1 in Wellesley. We do housing and services and sort of quality of life support for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So the 5 homes in Newton are staffed 24/7. So they have anywhere from 2 to 3 people there at all times. And then our Wellesley home is for independent living. So those folks have a lot of unstructured community time, and they have about 15 hours a week of support. And so the program that Steve is involved in is with our independent living program.
And I have to ask you, because when I was poking around the website for Pathway to Possible, and maybe we can get up the little streamer on the bottom so it shows Newton Pathway to Possible and the website and the phone number to call. But it's that one of the houses is in Waubun, and I live in
Yes.
Waubun. Where is this Waubun? See, I
So
didn't know about
it's
these
funny.
places.
One of our slogans, one of our pitches has been, "You may not have seen our homes because they look like your homes." So we work really hard to become part of the community. We don't want to be the house on the block that people walk by and say, "Oh, that must be a group home." Our homes are very much representative of the communities they're in. We have one in the Oak Hill neighborhood, one on Newtonville Ave. We have one in Waubun on Coyne Road. We have one on Webster Street, one on Orchard Ave in West Newton. So we're really embedded in the community. No two houses are alike. They're all very unique.
Right.
And they were developed with different funding streams. It's kind of complicated, which I'm happy to talk about. But so they all sort of have a different backstory on how they came to be one of the homes at Pathway to Possible.
Right. I do want to get into that. Steve, do you go to the same house every? You're particular to one resident.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
A gentleman by the name of Severn. So Severn lives in Wellesley in a house that is just a perfect house for the guys that live there. He lives with 3 other people, I think, at this point now. And so what I do is once a month, Severn and I will do something together. So in the earlier days, we went to Fenway, we've been to Gillette, we've played basketball, we've gone to the movies, but now primarily we go out to dinner. Severn loves salmon, so we go out to dinner and get salmon every time we go out to dinner.
Oh, nice.
So I pick him up at his house, and then we go outside.
And his
do
house is in Wellesley.
His house
and you
is in
pick him up.
Wellesley.
Does he have family around, or are you it for him?
He does have some family, but it's a combination of the family that Brenda's created for him and the family that he grew up with. He has sisters.
Oh, okay.
And I think he has a niece that he's fairly close to.
And you said there are 2 to 7 residents in any of the houses.
Well, anywhere
Are they
from-
segregated,
No.
all men or all women? Or
No. So anywhere from 5 to our largest house has 8 folks in it.
Oh, okay.
So our houses are co-ed. There is one house on Newtonville Ave that's all women, and it's been women for a long time, and it wasn't initially intentional, but now it's kind of working for everybody, so we're keeping it all women. One of the things that's really hard to get your head around, which is why I love that Steve is here, is that the thing about Pathway to Possible is folks come to us, and we are their home, and they don't graduate. Like other mission-driven organizations, there's an issue, there's an intervention, and then there's a recovery. Folks come with us for life. We are their family. They don't graduate from us. They are with us, and if we do this well, they will live out their days in our homes. So the fact that Steve has a 30-year relationship with one of our clients speaks to how amazing Steve is, and that this gentleman has been part of our organization for 30 years.
Yeah. I didn't realize the stability. So the idea isn't to move them on anywhere else.
No.
The idea is to provide them
This is their home. They're Newton residents. They are Newton residents. They vote in Newton. They live, work, and play in Newton. This is their community.
Yeah.
And what are the disability? What are there qualifications to
Sure.
become a resident? And I don't answer that one. And then when you're finished answering that, I also want to know if there are ever openings. Because you're
Sure.
saying sort of for life.
Yes. So all of our folks currently are referred to us from the Department of Developmental Services, which is overseen. It's the state organization overseen by Executive Office of Health and Human Services. So they're referred to us, and the primary funding is from what we call DDS, the Department of Developmental Services. Everybody meets that definition of an intellectual disability. And that's defined many different ways. Somebody can be born with an intellectual disability. They can acquire an intellectual disability. And some folks, in addition to that, might have a physical disability. But the common denominator with our folks is an intellectual disability. So they come to us. We learn, there's a little bit of a vetting process. They have to like us. They have to want to be part of our community. Right. And one of the tricky things too is making sure that the housemates, it's a good fit, especially with age. Like one of our biggest challenges is like a new person comes in and everybody in the house is older. Nobody who's 30 wants to live with 65-year-olds.
Right.
And if they're healthy enough, we want them to stay and live out their days with us. The only reason why someone might leave our house is if their medical issues became so complex we couldn't support them anymore.
All right, and when you use the term intellectual disability, intellectual, because it's hard to keep up with what the politically correct terminology, but there must be a range
absolutely.
in that. Okay, so is this, tell me the range. Let's do that you might have in the houses.
The way I would maybe talk about it is around independence, So, we have we have some folks that are maybe not verbal. They need help with care and feeding, showering, hygiene. They might have some swallowing issues, so their food has to be very specific. They need to, help with feeding. And then we have folks who are much more independent. We have one young man. Folks have maybe seen him in Newton. He works full time at Trader Joe's. He lives in West Newton House on Webster Street, and he's out and about. He rock climbs. He does this. He does that, and he has a lot of independence. So we have the full range.
Right. So, but you don't select. They come to you from the Health and Human Services,
Yeah.
and this is a statewide organization.
Statewide. Well, Pathway to Possibles, we might get referrals from throughout the state,
Right.
but we're a Newton organization.
Right. And there's one house in Wellesley.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. And we're taping this on April 1st. No fooling. See the way I did that? See the way I did that? But we are now in the throes of a Trump administration who is threatening to take away all funding from anything that smacks of DEI,
Sure.
that uses the word inclusion. I think you're not allowed to, anything else. And the state gets money from the federal. I mean, are any of your funds threatened right now?
So, in-house, we've done an inventory of what are our vulnerabilities. We probably have 5 major vulnerabilities at our organization. I'm hesitant to say them out loud because I don't want them to come true. But at this moment, our funding streams are still coming through for us. Like, we get federal dollars through housing and urban development. Our folks are on mass health. Our folks are surviving on Social Security. They get SNAP benefits, which used to be food stamps. And 40% of our workforce are immigrants, which is a big concern for us.
Oh boy.
So we've got several vulnerabilities, but
40% of your workforce or residents?
Workforce.
Workforce.
So the folks that are going to take care, I mean, we have 70 employees. We have a 24/7 operation.
Wow.
So there are things that keep me up at night, but at this moment, nothing has changed.
All right, so I'm trying to do the math. 8 times 8 is 64. This is the maximum number of
Right.
residents you have. So you really have closer to 50 or so?
No, we have 38 clients.
38 clients and a staff of 70.
Yeah.
And,
It takes a lot of work to support somebody with a disability.
and a lot of money.
We're actually a $6 million organization this year.
You
$6
spend,
million.
meaning you spend $6 million a year on your
Our
programs?
budget is $6 million.
Yeah.
85% of that is payroll.
Yeah.
So, it's. I mean,
Wow.
if you think about all those hours, I mean, each house has 3 staff, 24/7.
Right.
So.
Right. And who's paying? Now, no, Steve is not getting paid.
No.
But I have to say, just to give the kudos to the staff that works with this organization is phenomenal. The people, the commitment of the people, and I've been there years seeing staff members come and go. Why they're not paid like athletes and movie stars, I will never know, because what they do on a daily basis is phenomenal. And they form very close relationships with the clients, so it can be difficult when the transition happens, but I've seen it, Brenda and her team come in and successfully make that transition work for the clients.
Excellent.
And
And where is Severin on the spectrum of
well, I was almost interrupted earlier.
abilities, I guess?
Severin is on the virtually fully independent.
Yeah.
So there is, it's very easy to hear that phrase, individual intellectual disability, and then assume it is somebody that is basically on their own, doing nothing. Severin worked for Filene's Basement for his full career, retired from Filene's Basement. When one year they had Man of the Year awards at Filene's, he was awarded Man of the Year. There was a huge ballroom celebration at the Park Plaza that Bob Lobel at the time was the newscaster. He hosted it. And I mean, that's the way Severin is living his life. He's not, thanks to Brenda's organization, he's not sitting in his room staring at the TV doing nothing. So he's very much an independent. He's also gotten older, so as have I, so neither of us are as independent as we were when we were first friends. But
So when I went on the website, the Pathway to Possible, let's get that the streaming up again, because we want to make sure everyone knows what these good people do. We're talking to Brenda Noel and we're talking to Steve Romano. The goals of, you said they're there for life, possibly. What are the goals, I would say, of Pathway to Possible in terms of, independence and community in those?
Sure. So, our mission statement is about serving individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. Because one of the things is the folks that come to us, it's a package deal. They've got loved ones that care deeply about them. And part of our core values is build meaningful relationships, have them be part of the community, foster independence, and continue to advocate for their needs.
Yeah.
And that's something we take very seriously. And we sort of approach that on all different levels. I mean, one of the things I love about being in Newton, though, is as we're talking about the clients, my guess is some of your viewers have met the folks that we serve because they're always at the Hyde Center on Friday nights in the summer for John Rice's film festival and music, and they're always at the farmers markets and the fairs, and so they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You've seen our folks, and Severin's quite a regular at the senior center in Newton.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
he hangs out there a lot. So our folks are everywhere. If you've probably all met them.
All seen them. And advocacy, you get involved in advocacy for them?
Sure. I mean, the biggest thing we're fighting for. We've been running a campaign for the last couple of years. It's called a campaign for a living wage, because what happens is, so the state covers about 95% of our budget, which is, as if you're out there and you're a nonprofit manager, those aren't great numbers because you never want to be that dependent on one funding source.
Right.
So we raise about $500,000 a year. And what we're able to do with that money is what I almost liken it to the most important piece is that the state allows us to pay our frontline workers, our direct care workers, about $19 an hour. We fundraise so that we're able to pay those folks $23 an hour. So we start people at $23 an hour. Now, there's a study that says a person living in Massachusetts still can't live off $23 an hour. The number's more like 32. But we're working through fundraising to get closer to that because it is really hard work, and we want to make sure we're compensating people. So that's been where a lot of our fundraising dollars are going. And in addition to that, we have events for our folks. We do an annual dog show that's coming up in May where we ask community members who have friendly dogs, as long as they don't bite, they're welcome, to come. And our host is the All Newton Music School. They're gracious enough to have our event there, and it's certainly a good time. We also do a...
Wait a minute.
I know.
I have a dog. Wait a minute. I'm a new dog owner, actually.
It's a dog bite?
No.
Then you can bring the dog.
She's fabulous. But what happens I want to know what happens at the dog thing.
It's really a crowd pleaser. So all these dogs come of varying skill levels. Everybody, it's sort of like your child. Everybody thinks their dog's the best, The dogs can do almost nothing or everything, and so they come up to the stage and they get, am I being serenaded off screen?
No, I don't know. We're hearing music in here, John. John, we're hearing music.
So
something's going on.
The dogs go up to it starts very formally. We have a panel of judges who are members of the community. We sing the national anthem to kick it off. And then the dogs come up and they're introduced. And they do whatever they do. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes they grab a ball. Sometimes they sit. And then the dogs walk off the stage and go out in the audience and say hello to all of our guests. And then at the end, the award ceremony happens where every dog is given an award unique to their personality. It brings the house down. It's a good time. It's a good time.
So it's a talent show.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, but we're sorry. We have heard the cats are upset and the guinea pigs. It is just a dog show. It is just a dog show. So.
Okay. So tell us, who's paying for these services? I presume me, the taxpayer.
The taxpayer
I don't know.
is paying for it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So the majority of it is the taxpayer. Like I said, we get our budget this year is just over $6 million, 5.5 of it, which comes from the state. And it's coming through, one of the things that's interesting about as a former city councilor policy person is disability services is bipartisan. We all agree, regardless of how you vote, how you subscribe, we believe that these folks deserve a certain quality of life. They certainly deserve housing. They deserve, clean, fresh food, safety, engagement in their community. And so out of those policy decisions comes funding. And the disability movement actually came on the heels of the civil rights movement when we were advocating for women and people of color in the late 60s, early 70s. The disability movement was kind of late to that party, but got on that train.
Do you know why it came then?
Why?
The Vietnam War. because
Oh, interesting.
yes, because these
Interesting.
young people came back disabled.
Right.
Interesting.
And that's when the curb cuts came
Started.
in.
Oh, right.
I'm sure that's exactly when it happened.
Well, what's interesting is, believe it or not, the American with Disabilities Act was not signed into law until the 80s. It was the first George Bush that signed it. So
Right.
it took some time, you know, and what you see when you see policy decisions made is people's attitudes change and policy follows. So we're a response to those changes.
Right. So let's talk. So we talked about the dog show, and there's a dance party you have.
We have a dance party, which we again lean on the community, which I'm very grateful for. Some people are like, when I start calling, you should know this, they like, wrong number, because I'm always calling asking for something. So you know
These are fundraisers. The dog show's a fundraiser.
No, it's a community builder.
Oh,
you know, we
okay.
don't charge for your dog or
And
anything.
the dance party's not a fundraiser.
The dance
either?
party's for the clients, but I
Okay.
go to the community and ask for space, snacks.
Yep.
You know, so we had our first one last year, and my vision was that I wanted it to be like a Kardashian birthday party. I wanted balloons, I wanted blow up letters, I wanted this, I wanted a DJ, and it was great fun. It was great fun.
And you know what I'm thinking, and Kathleen, if you're in the sound booth listening to this, I think that NewTV ought to get out there and put it on the news, on the NewTV News,
I love that.
to cover the dog show,
I love
cover the
it.
dance party. Okay,
idea.
Kathleen, you heard it here first. We're going to
right.
get somebody on that.
I'm a little
Excellent.
offended. I didn't get an invitation to the dance
Dance party, it was pretty fun. It's pretty fun. It's on
The
our
dog show I've been
website.
to, but I've
Yeah.
not been invited to the dance party.
Now, what is your connection to Newton in terms of funding? Are you supported by the city or not?
Yes. So Newton does a lot for Pathway to Possible in the realm of community development block grants. So Newton, for the past several years, since I've been the executive director, has given us a small grant to support our mental health services, and most recently they've been investing in our properties to make sure that, you know, we just got a community development block grant several years ago, put a new roof on one of our homes. We got new windows on one of our homes. And the reason why we're eligible is because the folks who live in these homes meet the definition of very low income, because they're all on Social Security.
Right.
And they also, they kind of fall into two qualifying buckets, that they have a disability and they're very low income. So what happens when you take community development block grant dollars is that house then becomes deed restricted. It means that the people that live in that house have to meet that definition, which that's part of our mission, so we don't have a problem with that. That's an easy
Right.
thing to do.
And Pathway to Possible, and John, let's put it up again. Pathway to Possible owns the properties. You own
So it's a
all the
little bit
houses,
complicated. It's a little bit complicated. 4 homes are HUD homes, Housing and Urban Development, so they're funded through HUD. And as long as they remain in the service of low-income people with disabilities, we don't have to pay the mortgage. It's all managed through HUD. One house in West Newton we do own and have a straight mortgage on,
Yeah.
and then one house on Webster Street we rent back from Newton Housing Authority.
Okay, so it's a complex.
It's a complex funding model. Yes.
So you earn that's why you earn the big bucks, because
Yes.
you have to deal with all this
Exactly.
and all this variety of things.
It's art and science.
All right, so Steve, you're a volunteer. We've talked about Severin. You've talked about what you do. What drew you to this in the first place? I want to talk about volunteerism, and really where I want to get eventually is how much we get out of it when we are the volunteers. So tell us about how you got started.
I mean, I grew up in a household where people did things for one another. I also had, there were 5 of us siblings, so we kind of learned to kind of work as a unit. So I grew up feeling it was my obligation in any way to give back if you could. And then what happens over time is, and I have to say this about Newton as well as the surrounding towns, when Severin and I go out, the kindness that other people show him is unbelievable. And so that you start to sense that the world is a better place than you thought it was if you start to get cynical, when you see how kind people can be to other people. And if I can just give a shout out to the West Newton Cinema for a second, there was one point where Severin, he had a roommate, Ron, and Ron's buddy had passed away. So for a few years I had Severin and Ron that we would go out together. And we went to see a movie at West Newton at a matinee, and it was pouring rain. And I had to drop them off in front of the theater. We were late because of the traffic. The movie was about to start, and I couldn't park. We all know West Newton and what parking is like, right? And I parked behind the theater, ran to get there, soaking wet, and I walked in, and the movie was about to start. And the people at West Newton said, "We will hold the movie for you." and they held the movie for us while we walked in to see Wally. You know, and it's like those kinds of kindnesses. Waitresses who come over and wish him a happy birthday if they see a candle on his cake. And so when you're volunteering and you have those experiences over time, it makes you want to keep doing it because it helps reinforce a more positive view of the world than you might have otherwise.
You know, I have, since I've kind of retired from law practice, I've been devoting more time to volunteering. And one of the reasons is it's a way for me to fight back. I'll say it against Trump. You know, I don't know what else to do.
Right.
Okay, I've sent the postcards. I've not shopped on March 15th or whatever the day. You know, I've done those things.
Right.
He doesn't care. He's not listening to any of that. And I think the only way to combat what I'll call evil is to do good. And that's how I feel about that, that it's just a little something, and it makes me feel better.
And it also connects you to someone else, and we're starting to lose, and I don't want to name it Trump, but Trump, he thrives on dissolving the sense of community.
Yes.
And when you volunteer, you connect to another person, and if that person's connected to someone, you start building this sense of community.
Right.
And it's important that we have that. We need that as a society.
That's how a dictator becomes a dictator. They divide people first so that everybody's in different little factions, get them against each other, and then says, your life is a mess.
Yeah.
I can, not only can I make it better, but I'm the only one who can make it better.
Well, as you know and as I know, we can help make it better by doing things like
Well, it's
volunteering.
wonderful. Thank you for what you're doing. It's really appreciated.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
So let's talk a little bit. You talked about, you don't really, so there are no fundraising events?
Oh, no, we got plenty of fundraising events.
Oh, okay.
Don't
Well, tell
you
us
worry.
about, I wanted
So
to
our
know
big,
how the 500,000 comes in.
There's lots of opportunities to give. We have a marathon runner right now. It's one of our residents' brother is running the marathon for Pathway to Possible.
Nice,
So he's raised like almost $6,000. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then we have a huge event in October. It's our autumn auction. We have a partnership with the Brayburn Country Club. They host us. And it's our biggest event. It's like usually attended by about 200 people. We raised $250,000 last year. It's like an auction and fun, and
Wonderful.
it's just a good time. I think it's really important that when you're doing good, you have fun.
Yep.
So I will tell you, if it's one of the most interesting fundraisers, we keep it light, we keep it short. It's the best ticket in town.
I'm going to give a shout out to Brayburn, by the way, because I'm going to a fundraiser, the big gala or whatever it is for the Second Step in a few, and so they donate their facilities. It's fabulous that they're doing
They're
it.
very good to the community.
Great. Final question. We're getting sort of near the end here, but not final, but do the residents pay, and do they pay any money, or their families pay any money for them to stay?
So there's a nominal fee that the residents pay, which is part of the programming of ensuring independence, that they have some agency in what happens in their lives. And it's a calculation based on their income. And again, all of our residents meet the definition of very low income. It's 30% of what they receive in Social Security minus any ongoing medical expenses. So it's a nominal fee to again, have some agency in what their life is like.
Right. I think it's fabulous. And you have inspired, I hope you've inspired me. I hope you've inspired Newton. This is just fabulous. The Pathway to Possible, it's Pathway to Possible, making it possible for these people.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much. Go ahead, you want to say something?
Well, I just want to thank you for having us on the show. Any opportunity we get to tell our story and to get people involved, we're thrilled with.
Well, and your story is a good one, and it's one that should be told. I want to thank you. You're doing good.
Yeah.
You are doing good, and both of you individually are doing good. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to you for being with us, and we'll see you next time on You're Doing Good. Good night.